So you think you want to be a movie actor? Well, check it out with Keith David first, because in Platoon there must have been a time, either in pre-screening training or in production itself, where you were cold, hungry, tired, confused, thinking, what in the world am I doing? Let's set the scene for us here.
When I was in high school, there was I don't know how I got this idea, but I wanted to I suddenly wanted to write a book, and I wanted the title of it to be, "So You Wanted to Be an Actor?"
With the accent intact.
You know, and that is how I felt a lot of times while we were doing this. It was like, well, this is what you wanted, fella.
I've heard of method, but this is ridiculous.
But actually, it was wonderful, because it was one of the few times that hands-on experience bore a very direct route to what had to be done, and I would not have wanted to do the film without having had that training. In fact, I shudder to think what it would have been like if we had come in from LA, flew in, I flew in from New York, and gone to LA, got into the Philippines, and immediately started shooting.
Would that jungle have eaten you alive had that happened?
Oh, more than the jungle would have eaten us alive, buddy. It would have been hell to pay.
As it was, you were issued weapons, you were issued equipment, you had to keep track of it all, just like the real thing.
Exactly.
And that's tough to keep track of all that stuff on the move.
Oh, man. There are a few times when things did get lost, and it was, it was like it was hell to pay. Sometimes you had to do without.
Oliver Stone says that a few times when we see you guys kind of straggling along, looking a bit hunted and a bit gaunt, we're seeing the real thing.
Yeah. I lost at least 20 pounds in the Philippines. I wanted to, and I worked out and, did the PT, and I kept working out during the day to do that, but I was surprised that I was able to take it off so quickly, because it was like, within the 2 weeks before we started filming, I'd lost quite a lot of weight.
Would you agree that maybe one of the great emotional moments in this otherwise harrowing film is when you are getting to leave alive? We feel so good about that moment.
Yeah, that was
the heart of that whole film, I think.
It was one of the most important moments for me, because I wanted to bring that sense of history between Taylor and I to this moment, and without, so you can't play your whole life in one moment, so it was like I didn't want to do too much, but I did want to have that to be a special moment, and I don't know. I feel good about it, but I don't know, whether all that I wanted was accomplished, but it was a special moment, because,
Speak to those out there who are too young to have known the Vietnam experience. You were too young, and yet in this project you've learned a lot. What can a viewer learn from watching just a movie? What can a viewer learn here? It's only a movie, huh?
First of all, it's not just a movie.
Okay.
It's an experience. I think when you see this film, you cannot do the usual distancing thing you can do with films that start to get a little heavy, and say, well, it's not about me and it doesn't concern me.
Every one of us knows somebody up on that screen, I would think.
Yeah, if one of them isn't your brother or your cousin or something, you know somebody who has gone through this experience, and maybe they don't look like that guy, but my God, you have that identifying factor.
And without meaning to pry, anybody in your family or distant relations or friends that you saw up on that screen?
Yeah. I had very close cousins who were in Vietnam, very good friends, and fortunately most of them came back. Not all of them were unscathed. So it was a very real experience for me too, because I did see a lot of those guys there. And I mean, even some of the guys in the platoon who you don't get to know quite as well, that was my buddy. I mean, you know, he's like Charlie. He's like Ron. You know, these are people who I know and who I could really identify with.
Keith David is king. He's the man that came home. And thanks for that in Platoon. And from New York City for KCTV5, I'm John Tibbetts.